This really remarkable understanding of the core unity of life is not the sole province of the world's mathematical physicists. But as I said, it really has been the cherished experience of generations. And generations of refinement of techniques of meditation have really been designed to render more and more efficient the process of diving within as easily and efficiently as possible, experiencing deeper levels of mind, deeper levels of human intelligence, corresponding to the experience of deeper levels of intelligence in nature. And then, at the source of thought, one experiences this ocean of intelligence and creativity, the field of unity within. That is the so-called meditative state. It is also described as holistic experience. And as we'll see in a few moments, it has with it a remarkable transformation and correlation in the functioning of the human brain. A complete transformation so dramatically different from waking that the meditative state is now considered to be a fourth major state of consciousness, distinct from waking, dreaming, and sleeping. Another way to see how it arises and what it is to examine for a moment the phenomenon of attention. In waking consciousness, attention really is just a localized beam of consciousness. So in waking consciousness, we're always aware of something. That means our comprehension is focused on a particular object of perception or another. The meditative process is one where that narrow focus of comprehension, whatever it is, starts to, you start to withdraw your awareness from those isolated boundaries, and comprehension, which was narrowly focused, starts to systematically expand, opening up more holistic levels of comprehension, more holistic levels of understanding, and more holistic levels of understanding until comprehension becomes literally unbounded. Unity, wholeness. That is the experience of consciousness. And it's not foreign in a sense that it is just the experience of ourself, in the most profound sense of that word. Somebody asked what consciousness was a moment ago, or what the self is. The self is that one thing. Self is just our subjectivity, the liveliness of consciousness that allows us to see anything, experience anything, know anything. But what's so abstract about that consciousness is the consciousness itself isn't experienced, at least not in waking consciousness, where the attention is always localized on some concrete object, or thought, or emotion, or sensation. So by withdrawing that narrowly focused attention systematically to become unbounded, completely universal and abstract, that's the experience of what's called pure consciousness, pure subjectivity, the self with a big S, sometimes called Atma. So the self, our very subjectivity, is the only thing in our lives that never changes. It's the one thing that allows us to believe correctly that we're the same person today that we were as a child. Because everything else changes. The body changes for the worse. Our beliefs change, our friends change, our professions change, our spouses change. Everything changes, and yet we know we're the same person today that we were 51 years ago. And that sameness is our own subjectivity, the nature of which is infinite expansion, unbounded bliss. The origin of universes, universal intelligence, universal consciousness, that field of unity at the basis of life's diversity that underlies and connects us all. Now, for me as an educator, and there's a lot of research to back this up, and we'll see a very brave student is about to come up here. And let us take a look under his hood, and we're going to see what happens to the human brain when human attention, normally directed outward, turns systematically within, and the awareness expands and expands to experience the self, a complete real-time transformation in the functioning of the brain, which for a brain scientist is remarkable, and I think even for most people, pretty impressive. But as an educator, what is so crucial about this discovery of this meditative state and understanding it physiologically from the standpoint of brain physiology is that it really is the missing ingredient to education. It is a technique that expands consciousness, expands the container of knowledge. Now, this state of transcendental awareness or expanded consciousness is, as I said, unique. It's different from waking, dreaming, sleeping. In what sense? It's different in this striking sense that normally the electrical activity of the brain, which is often measured here and here and here and here and everywhere across the scalp, the electrical activity of our brain, the so-called brain encephalogram, EEG, is not very intelligent. I don't know if you've ever seen your own EEG scan, but it's really depressing. It's really like there's no communication between different areas of the mind and personality. Mathematically, it's very much like an orchestra before the conductor takes the stand. The musicians are warming up, they're sawing away at their instruments, and no real effort to coordinate their activity. And what do you get? A cacophony of discordant sound. And then the conductor assumes the podium and raises the baton, and then that cacophony of discordant sound is transformed instantly to flowing music. The difference? The integrated functioning of the orchestra. So that integration of brain functioning is an inevitable side effect and a striking side effect of the meditative experience. This experience of unbounded awareness that is as old as time. Now, again, as an educator, this is crucial. Why? Because orderly brain functioning, what's called global EEG coherence, where the whole brain functions in concert. Orderly brain functioning correlates scientifically with rising IQ, increased intelligence, improved learning ability and academic performance, short-term and long-term memory, enhanced moral reasoning, increased psychological stability, emotional maturity, alertness, reaction time. Everything good about the brain depends on its orderly functioning. And now, orderliness of brain functioning can be systematically developed in any student of any age. This already reverses a bleak view of human potential, mainstream view of human potential, which has been, until now, that we peak at 16 years of age. At 16, our gray matter is of maximum weight. The raw intelligence of the brain is also maximum. And thereafter, we undergo this long and torturous process of declining raw intelligence and shrinking of gray matter, which is very visible by the 20s and catastrophic by the 30s. Don't even think about the 40s or 50s. Now, by the time you get to be 51, we say, well, we make up for that with our maturity and wisdom and experience. The whole thing is pathetic and fortunately completely obsolete and out of date because now we know that the brain is sufficiently plastic and malleable and capable of forging new connections and learning new things throughout life. And yes, if you don't use the brain, it does atrophy. And we'll show in a moment some extraordinary pictures of acutely atrophying brains from lack of use. But even that is reversible because the meditative state in an educational setting, which is the best place for it, in my opinion, the meditative state engages the total brain and is unique among the whole range of human experiences, waking, dreaming, sleeping, hypnosis. Only this experience of unbounded awareness engages the total brain and develops the brain holistically.